Narrator voice begins. On a stormy night in 1987, a young girl named Clara Winters stood at the edge of the cliffs of Blackmore Bay, holding a letter that had never been opened. Her hands trembled, her eyes fixed on the lighthouse that had been abandoned for nearly 30 years. The letter was addressed to her grandmother, but it had never been delivered. What was inside this letter would unravel secrets buried deep beneath the foggy waves of the past. Chapter 1. The Letter That Waited. Clara was a 21-year-old history student from London. During her summer break, she decided to visit her late grandmother's old cottage in the coastal village of Blackmore, a place she had heard about in bedtime stories but had never seen before. The cottage was filled with dust, old books, and the scent of the sea. But in the attic, hidden behind a loose wooden plank, she found a sealed envelope, yellowed with time, addressed to Margaret Winters, her grandmother. But the strangest part? The letter was signed by Thomas Gray, the former keeper of the Blackmore Lighthouse, a man who was said to have disappeared mysteriously in 1957. Chapter 2. The Legend of Thomas Gray. The villagers spoke about Thomas in hushed tones. "He went mad," said one. "He saw something in the sea," whispered another. "Some say the light from the lighthouse showed him a different world," claimed an old fisherman. Clara, being a curious soul, couldn't resist digging deeper. She learned that Thomas Gray was a quiet man, devoted to his duty at the lighthouse. But one night, during a terrible storm, he vanished without a trace. The only thing left behind was the lighthouse light, still spinning, and a diary with pages torn out. Chapter 3. The Lighthouse Beckons. Despite the warnings from the locals, Clara decided to visit the lighthouse. With only the moonlight and her flashlight, she made her way through the thick fog and crumbling path. The lighthouse door was rusted shut, but she managed to push it open. Inside, the air was thick with salt and silence. Dust-covered furniture, scattered papers, and a broken radio filled the small keeper's quarters. On the top floor, she found an old desk. In one of its drawers was a journal, the missing pages from Thomas Gray's diary. And as she opened it, the wind outside began to howl. The sea roared louder and the old light of the lighthouse flickered for the first time in decades. Chapter 4. Secrets in Ink. The diary entries were dated a few weeks before Thomas's disappearance. He wrote about strange sounds from the sea, whispers in the fog, and visions of a woman calling to him from the ocean. But one entry stood out. "I've seen her eyes again in the waves. She's not a ghost. She's a memory. And the sea wants me to remember. If I don't return, tell Margaret, I'm sorry I never got to explain." The letter will say everything. Clara's heart raced. The letter in her hand, it might reveal everything. She carefully,